Welcome to this writing class. This is class number 51. What do we have here? We have a paragraph with 157 words. What is the title? Asking for directions, especially when you are traveling and you don't want to get lost. Which grammar are we going to review here? Past. The past, because we're going to be talking about past experiences while traveling. And in order to do that, we will have to review the simple past and the past continuous in this video. So this is the paragraph, 157 words, class 51. The title is Asking for Directions. Are you ready? I will read this paragraph, and please follow along, and also try to identify examples of the simple past and the past continuous. Alright? So, asking for directions during trips makes the whole experience of traveling more special. For instance, it allows you to communicate with real people and to feel the warmth of the city you are visiting. I remember that when visiting New York for the first time, there was an evening when I needed to make sure that I was walking in the right direction towards the subway entrance. So I asked a girl who was walking her dog if I was taking the right way to the subway. After I showed her the route on my map, she said everything was okay. So I kept walking. A few minutes later, I realized I was lost, even though I was following the woman's directions. All of a sudden, somebody called me from behind. It was the girl with the dog. She said, "Sorry, but I gave you wrong directions." She apologized, and we laughed. It was a nice experience. Yeah, and that actually happened to me, right? So what can we learn from this paragraph? Well, this paragraph has an introduction. Do you see the first sentence there? Well, that's an introduction. And it also has a conclusion. It has an introductory sentence and a concluding sentence. Both are connected, related. They're linked somehow. For example, the first sentence talks about asking for directions during trips. And even though you don't see that in the conclusion, you can see it, right? In the conclusion, it, that is highlighted in light blue, it relates to asking for directions during trips. Now, the introduction also has this phrase, more special, which you can also see somehow in the conclusion. It says nice experience, right? So what can you say here? That both the introduction and the conclusion are kind of connected and related. Do you see examples of the simple past, past continuous, or regular and irregular verbs? Yes, regular verbs in the simple past, light blue. Irregular verbs, green. Simple past. Past continuous, yellow. So let's start with light blue. I visited, I needed, I asked, I showed, I realized, somebody called, she apologized, we laughed. Great. Now, those were regular verbs. And as you can see, all the verbs end in ed, because that is what you have to do when you write a sentence in the simple past and you use irregular verbs. Now, what happens with green? We have there regular verbs. Sorry. Light blue, regular verbs. Okay? Light blue, regular verbs. Now, irregular verbs. Green. There was, she said, everything was, I kept, I was, it was, she said, I gave, it was. Perfect. So as you can see, those irregular verbs have to change. You change the spelling of the verb when you write a sentence in the simple past using an irregular verb. So light blue, regular verbs, ed at the end. Green, irregular verbs. Light blue, regular verbs, ed at the end. Green, irregular verbs. Now, the past continuous. Yellow, I was walking. So, yellow shows an action that was in progress, that was interrupted by another action. So, I was walking. Who was walking? I was talking, or I was taking, sorry, number 3, the third yellow one, I was taking, and number 4, I was following. I was following. Good. So every time that you narrate a story, what you have to do, you have to use regular verbs in the past, irregular verbs in the past, maybe in the simple past, but also it will also help you to use sentences with examples of the past continuous. Now, what else do you see here? Phrases that allow you to give context and to provide time references that make reading your paragraph easier. So, number 1, when I visited New York for the first time, you have the context there. That is a time clause. It starts with when. Then you see a subject, I, and a verb, visited. That is why it is a clause. It is not a phrase because it has a subject and it also has a verb. Now, next, after I showed her the route on my map, that is also a time clause. Why? Because it starts with a time-related word after, and then you see a subject, I, and then a verb, showed. So every time you have a subject and a verb, it's gonna be a time clause and not a time phrase. Then you have some time markers that allow you to put your story together. For example, a few minutes later, all of a sudden. Use expressions like that when narrating a story. If you want to write a story like this, what can you do? You can put your ideas together into a graphic organizer like this. First of all, you can talk about facts, general information about what most people do or what people usually do when traveling, about asking for directions. Then light blue, orange, and green can be about an experience, a narration of a past event. So yellow can be in the simple present to talk about a fact, whether or not you always ask for directions when you travel. And light blue, orange, and green can have ideas on a story that you can narrate about asking for directions. Then you will have something like this, right? Yellow in the simple present, and then light blue, orange, and green, your story. Orange about, light blue about when the event happened, where it happened, what the problem was. Orange can be about what you did about it, and green can talk about what the outcome was, right? If you want to watch the whole video, visit aglanguages.com. You will find more videos there as well. Are you interested in English classes online? So please contact us and visit our website and send us an email at info@aglanguages.com. Please leave your comments, your questions, and if you want to see the examples or the translations into Spanish of those examples, please, there's a link there. You will see it there. The link is going to take you to our blog, and there you will see the examples in English and Spanish if you need that. Please follow Hector Cabrera on Instagram, and also follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.